The Fox City SCORE chapter and WHBY are pleased to bring you Biz Talk, a chance for you to hear from entrepreneurs and professionals as they share their experiences from starting to sustaining growth. Learn the skills needed for your business to be successful. If you missed anything, you can catch the Biz Talk podcast at biztalkwithscore.com. And now from the Myron Construction Studio, it's Biz Talk on WHBY.
Good morning and welcome to Biz Talk with SCORE on WHBY, brought to you by the SCORE Fox Cities chapter, and we'll talk a little bit more about the chapter later. This week we've got a previous guest coming in to talk about her business and how it's developed over the last 5 years. She was with us about a year before the pandemic, and it'll be great to hear about what's going on there. But before we get to her, I'd like to introduce my co-host, Rick Sense. How are you doing this week, Rick?
I'm doing very well, Terry.
Welcome again, and thank you for joining. So this week, our guests are Pamela Barnes and Laura Spranger from Z54, a wine and cocktail lounge. Welcome.
Thanks.
Hey,
for having me here.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so could you guys tell us a little bit about what Z54 is first?
Go for it, Laura.
Z54 is a wine and cocktail lounge. We definitely are more than that, even though that's how our name would explain us. We are a experience. We are a community. We are also just...
We like to be a comfortable place for people to, whether you're a single person, just hanging out, or if you're on a date night, or you're doing some kind of corporate or social event that you want to come and gather. We just want to be that kind of, I know the big word right now is third place. We just kind of want to become that third place where your third place is after home and work. And so Z wants to be that third place where you just feel super comfortable to come and hang out regardless of, even if you're not drinking. We have a lot of different offerings for that segment of population as well.
Okay, so let's step back and start a little bit with how you got into this. So Pamela, you were the original founder. Could you talk a little bit about your background and how you came to starting this business up?
Sure. So I worked with Future Nina for 5 years previous to opening Z. And with that job, I realized how important collaboration and community are and what you can do when you put those two things together and get a lot done. On the other hand, I am a resident of Fox Crossing. I live in the neighborhood in which Z is located. And I was searching for something like it to gather with friends. And although I love my dive bars and sports bars, I wanted something a little bit different. So I thought, let's create it. So I created Z54, starting out as an offbeat American wine bar in 2018. So we will be celebrating 6 years in October.
Okay. And Laura, you joined a little later, but talk about where you came from and what led you to Z54.
Absolutely. So I am originally from the Fox Valley area. I have extensive background in the service and hospitality industry, starting as a waitress at 15 at a local kind of dive bar, and then started bartending and ended up in management. So I've kind of covered all the positions in the last 25 years. I moved to Denver and had lived there for several years and managed a large sports bar billiards hall there, and then moved back at the beginning of 2022. And a friend of mine had said, you've got to check out this really cool wine bar that's in Fox Crossing. So of course my first response was, what is Fox Crossings? When I left, there was no such thing as Fox Crossings. And she said, well, I'm going to send you the information and you're going to meet me there. And I showed up one day and to meet my friend, and was the first one in there, and took a look around and was like, oh my gosh, what a hidden gem. Where did this place come from? Do you know what I mean? There was no such thing that I had experienced before I had left to Denver in the Fox Valley that I could think of. And Pamela had walked out of the private events room, and we kind of made eye contact and realized that we had known each other from the past, and we caught up really quick. And she's like, well, now that you're back, you obviously need a job. I was like, I suppose you're right. I do need a job. And I started out bartending a couple nights a week there. And then it moved into managing the place. And then shortly thereafter, we had such a good working relationship that it just seemed like the natural thing to do. In order to continue to build the business, I approached her about wanting to become a partner in it. I believed in it. I loved it. My experience in the industry, I felt like I had a lot to offer to the growth of the business. And she agreed, and I'm so grateful. And it's been great since.
Oh, great. We'll come back and talk a little bit about how that partnership started in a minute. But Pamela, one of the things I remember from the show 5 years ago was the story of how you started was really unique, and you did a lot of research and things that other people may not do as much of. In fact, if I remember right, you even did your own focus groups to an extent to figure out how to get this going. Could you talk a little bit about what made you believe this could work in Fox Crossing and what the research showed you?
Sure. Focus groups, I'm always a firm believer of listening to your customers. And so I sought out people that I thought would be customers of wine bars, of course, enjoying wine, and just asking them what they were looking for in a wine bar experience. And so that just helped me form they were looking for live music. They were looking for a place, a wine club. They were looking a place to gather with like-minded people. And so and the Fox Crossing was, again, I'm part of that community. I saw the growth happening in the community with knowing that Community First Credit Union was going to build their headquarters. There was the hotel with Wissota coming in. Secura was building their headquarters. And then there was the existing businesses like Myron and Neuroscience Group and the success of Holiday Sports Bar. So all of that kind of came into play as to why I selected that particular area. And for those of you listening and not familiar with where we are on the corner of CB and West American Drive in Fox Crossing. So anyway, I just took it was a previous Goodwill drop-off center, and it was gray, and I gave it color and life.
Okay. So less than a year after we talked, COVID hit. So how did you respond to that? How did it impact your business, and what did you do to work your way out of that?
Oh, yeah. COVID was a tough one for a business that relies on gathering people. So it really did a number personally, like on my, just kind of on my psyche of how do I market this? How do I do this in the right way for the situation that's going on in our world? So it really made me stop and think about what else could I do on a smaller scale. So we started having smaller events with, say, 10 people where we would gather. I started a wine club during COVID, so that was another stream of income for me. The one thing I did not do that many people in the hospitality industry did was go to a to-go situation where we would do charcuterie boards to go or something like that. It just always it didn't financially make sense, and it didn't personally make sense because I had to put family first. I had a daughter going through her sophomore year in high school, if you will, in a very different environment. And so I also promised my employees that I would never make them work during COVID. Right, the day that we closed on March 17th, I put it out there on our group page that none of us know what's going on exactly, but you will not be required to work during this situation that we're all going through. At the time we didn't know what that situation was. So again, those were some of the things that I did to try to ride the storm out, if you will.
Okay. And we'll come back in the third segment and talk about more of the events and activities you're doing. But let's jump ahead to Laura coming in. Why did you decide to take on a partner?
Well, from the beginning, I always wanted to find a very strong individual from the hospitality industry because I always said I sat on the other side of the bar. I went to a lot of wine bars, but I never ran one. I was never even a bartender, besides at volunteer events. So I always wanted to find a general manager that was super strong and had a lot of experience in the hospitality. So when Laura came along a couple of years ago, that day when she walked in and I began to learn more about her extensive experience, I became very excited and was super happy when she started a couple days a week. I could see that quickly fellow team members respected her from the get-go, and she had a lot of knowledge and experience to bring to, as a owner, I'm always trying to hire for my deficiencies, right? And so I really felt that Laura kind of plugged in all the places where I needed the most help. And as a business partner, it just made sense to me. And she had interest and passion for it, just like I do. So, when you have someone that is as passionate about it as you are, it's just one of those kind of no-brainers, if you will.
Okay. So how would you describe the growth at Z54, not only primarily over the last 5 years, but over the last couple of years? How have you done?
The growth of the business, well, we've tried to zone in and really listen to our customers, first of all. We've continued to do a very community focused approach, if you will. So I'm all about community and collaboration. As I mentioned, when I worked at Future Nina, that those two core values really taught me that community matters and you can get a lot done. So I really zoned in on that and what I could do for the community. And, some of the initiatives like the Pay It Forward cocktail came to be. Just different ways that we collaborate with other businesses, be it a pop-up boutique, be it someone that Macy's is coming with a glam up night. So we try to work with our area businesses and especially other female-owned businesses on kind of helping each other out, if you will. So I think the growth really has stemmed from that core value of community and collaboration.
Okay. And I'll just point out, too, as I was looking through your site and doing some research, I saw you've won a couple of different awards, too, which just says that you're doing very well. So it was a 2023 Fox Cities Chamber Food and Business of the Year, and then a 2024 Keggy. So what is a Keggy?
All right. A Keggy stands for a keg of wine. So at Z, we have wine on tap. So we have 4 whites, 4 reds, and we've had tap wine since the inception of Z. So the Keggy Award is from Free Flow Wines. They are the maker of those actual kegs. And so each year they give an award to a winery, to a distributor, just people who have championed their cause of sustainability. So every year they have a People's Choice Award for, again, their customers, which we are their customer, buying their kegs, to kind of follow their mission or align with their mission. So this year we were awarded the People's Choice Award for the Keggy. So again, it's just a recognition coming from a national constituent of Free Flow Wines that, again, we have aligned with for the sustainability factor, and we're happy to offer the tap wine option.
Okay. We're at the point for our first break. We're listening to Biz Talk with Score on WHBY, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to Biz Talk with Score on WHBY Radio. I'm Rick Sense along with Terry Pinch today, and we will get back to our guests in just a moment, but I wanted to take a moment and just briefly talk to you about Score Fox Cities. Fox Cities Score serves an 8-county area with offices in Appleton, Oshkosh, and Fond du Lac. We have about 45 volunteer mentors each an expert in their field, and they offer entrepreneurs no-cost and confidential mentoring. Those areas of expertise include IT, social media, marketing, cash flow, accounting, strategic planning, workflow, human resources, retail best practices, and many, many others. In order to register for a no-cost confidential mentoring session and or to learn more about the Fox City SCORE chapter, please visit our website at score.org/Fox Cities. You can learn more about how the SCORE chapter can assist you with starting and or growing your business, and you can complete an application for a mentoring session. Simply complete the online form and submit it to SCORE. Within a few days, a SCORE mentor will be contacting you to set up a meeting. Remember, SCORE is no cost and offers experts who can offer you assistance in many different areas. To get started, please visit our website at score.org/Fox Cities. To support small business people, Fox City SCORE is always looking for new mentors. If you have experiences that you would like to share with others, we'd love to talk to you. We welcome volunteers with experience in all aspects of business. Small business owners need your help, and your experience can make a real difference to their success. Go to score.org/Fox Cities, click on the volunteer button, and fill out the short application, and we'll get back to you to explain more. We started talking during the first segment, and you mentioned earlier on, Laura, that you brought on a partner, and I just think that's really interesting that you were up and running for a few years, and then you added a partner. Can you maybe give listeners the thought process behind that, and then the steps that you took? Because I imagine there might be other businesses out in listening today that are thinking, yeah, maybe I should bring on a partner.
Yeah, well, first of all, it started out with Laura being who Laura is and what she could offer my business. So it wasn't just bringing on a partner, it was bringing on Laura as a partner because, again, her experience and expertise and just her overall, again, gained respect from employees right away, great team member. It was just evident that it's a word I use a lot, but she's a rock star. And so I was like, okay, you don't come across too many rock stars in your life. And she expressed interest. So there was just a couple things that were really kind of, leading me to this decision and making that decision very easy. So the first step I had to do, of course, was come up with a valuation of the business. So I with the help of the CPA firm that we use, we came up with that. Then we met with a business attorney and we just kind of talked about the different ways that we could do this. And it was a lot easier process than I thought it would be in terms of the paperwork, if you will. So we had that done. And then we hired a business coach to help us along the way of making the partnership stronger. And so that has really helped as well. And then, really having tough conversations about expectations and who's doing what and how are we going to get this done and where do we see the business growing. And I really wanted Laura's perspective and fresh eyes on events that I had been maybe doing for 4 or 5 years, but yes, they were fun and they added, but, were they really profitable? So that is where Laura's expertise, just stepped in and has really been, crucial for the continued success of Z.
You mentioned you had a business coach. I find that interesting as far as with helping that person was helping you work through the process of becoming partners. Can you maybe just identify 1 or 2 quick issues that they brought out that you might not have discovered without their help?
Well, one of the coolest things that we did right at the beginning, and I know it's talked about a lot, but was the DISC, personality or character, however they word it. But it really helped us understand each other in terms of where we come from on certain issues and things and what our personality and where our values are and all that good stuff. So I felt that to be something really beneficial to learn about each other beyond the point of within the realm of Z54, but to learn about each other as people and how we function, and think.
Laura, do you look at that business coach and look at that as somebody who is an ally of the business, or is it somebody who's just kind of an outside observer that comes in and just mediates between the two of you?
A little bit of both. I mean, she's helped bring us together more, I think, on an individual personal basis as partners, but also has been able to help us to really dig into the business and the numbers and where we're going, and making sure that our personal objectives are aligning with the business objectives, and that we're removing a little bit of emotion from certain things and looking with eyes of true factual organic growth within the business. And what we learned when Pamela addresses the DISC, I think she saw from our first meeting that we both had the same desires for the business. We were having a hard time communicating how to get from point A to point B together. Not that we were working together really well. And I think that for me, that was a big part of deciding to go into partnership with Pamela and on behalf of Z54 was that, we took our time deciding that we were going to do that. We had talked about it very quickly when I first joined the team, that was a desire of mine. At my age, I didn't want to just manage somebody else's business. I wanted to be a part of the dream. I wanted to be a part of something bigger than that. So she knew that my desire was to ultimately become an owner. And then when I became manager, I reiterated that that's where I was going with this. If she wanted me to manage, then we were going to take this year to see how we work together on that level. And then I desired by the following year to work on the partnership. So by the time we got to the business coach, we had done all of the work to put everything on paper. Now we needed to kind of meld our vision to say, like, how does this equate to making money? Okay, so it helped. The DISC personality test helped us both see that I am much more of a numbers person. I like to see graphs. I like to see growth. I want to know that something's making us money, that we're not spending too much time somewhere just because it feels good. And Pamela, which she really inspires me and helps me to see, is that not everything needs to be so black and white. We can do some things that are good for the community, that are fun, that help to build our rapport and our energy and our vibe. We have a tagline, elevate your vibe at Z54, and she brings that energy, and I kind of keep us grounded. And we're a great balance in that way. And the business coach helped us see, I feel, that we were both right, if that makes sense. We were both doing things right, just in our own way. And we've seen tremendous growth just from understanding each other like that. We give each other space to do our thing, and we've gotten better at implementing events that are fun while I'm still looking at the numbers and making sure that they're making financial sense for us, that we're seeing profit out of it. So we've been able to lower our expenses, our spending, and maximize our profit in these events at the same time. So our business coach has done wonderful things for us. I definitely recommend to any business that finds themselves kind of struggling, finding themselves working a lot in the business and not on the business. You kind of get stuck in this day-to-day grind of trying to make it happen. And you have to, she's shown me, you have to remove yourself to see the bigger picture.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you for that. We're at the time for our second break. You're listening to Biz Talk with Score on WHBY, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Biz Talk with Score from WHBY. We will come back to our guests, Pamela Barnes and Laura Spranger from Z54 Hawaiian and Cocktail Lounge, in a minute. But first, I want to give you a quick update on an event that's coming up from Score. It's called Accelerate Your Business for Women 24. It's September 30th. It's at the Kalahari Resort and Conference Center in Wisconsin Dells, and it's being put on by all the Score chapters in Wisconsin. We were the primary host last year of the first version of it held in Green Lake, and it was a success. It was a very good event, and we had a lot of people attend. So this year it's been being jointly held with all the SCORE chapters. There's only about 25 tickets left, so it's selling well right now. So if you want to join in the event, it's a small cost of about $75, and it's a full day of networking. There's speakers, there's educational opportunities, and really, really good learning. So it's a really good opportunity. But go to our website, which is SCORE Fox Cities, and will be score.org/Fox Cities. We'll get you to the website, and then right on our homepage, there's a tab or a posting you can click on for Accelerate Your Business for Women, and you can register there. But we do strongly suggest you consider that. It's a great event and got really good feedback last year. Okay, so with that, we're going to turn back to our guests, Pamela and Laura. And first thing we're going to talk about is when we talked in 2019, your kind of tagline for the location had been an offbeat American wine bar. And today, it's changed to wine and cocktail lounge. Pamela, could you talk a little bit about why you made that change and what it means for the business?
Sure. Well, I quickly learned that the wine bar tag was really pigeonholing us into just wine bar. And at the same time, I was investing heavily in the spirits, and the whole craft cocktails were becoming more and more popular. And so I just decided that that particular tagline, an offbeat American wine bar, just didn't really describe who we were. I also wanted to take the word bar out of it, as we kind of evolved more into a lounge atmosphere, and which I was very happy about. So I just thought, well, I'm going to just give it a tagline to be what I think it is, which is a wine and cocktail lounge. And so we've carried that tagline now since 2019.
Okay. Another thing that came up, and it really started through the pandemic, but is ongoing, is staffing and getting number of employees. And obviously you had great success with Laura. But how have you managed that over time is getting the staff in place and keeping them and having the right number as you do all these events and activities that you're doing?
That is definitely one of the biggest challenges. I will say that with strong conviction. I've been blessed with great team members, but for one thing, hospitality, there's professionals in it, and then there's, people that kind of come in and out of it during their life circumstances. I'm a college student, so I need some extra money. So there's just not consistency in a lot of the employees. So that is always a challenge to keep your business consistent, offering what you offer, if your team keeps changing. So, we obviously try to create a great environment to work in, that kind of thing, to retain employees. But yeah, like I said, that is definitely a challenge. And it's also a challenge to staff some nights where all of a sudden, surprise, surprise, everyone shows up one particular night and you're understaffed. So there's always that tricky part of the business too, is trying to figure out how many people to staff for a particular night or event. And then, just getting good quality team members.
Okay. Another thing that really evolved is obviously you don't have a full kitchen, but you've offer charcuterie and you're bringing in food trucks and things. What was the idea behind the food, bringing in more food, and how does that working?
Well, it's just something that, wine especially is often better paired with some food. And so charcuterie was something that I had offered from the beginning. It still remains the same. It's a build your own charcuterie board menu. Excuse me. You select your cheeses and meats and little extras, and then we artistically create a nice board for you. But then what also happened is Stuck's Pizza moved in next door. And I quickly, the question was, can I bring a Stuck's Pizza in? And the answer was yes, absolutely. You may bring a Stuck's Pizza in. So we're happy to kind of collab with our neighbor, if you will. And then food trucks are just something that, at my time at Future Nina, I hired a lot of them for the concerts and things like that. And it just offers something unique. And again, I'm all about collaboration and helping each other out. And so I saw it as the 3 wins, the food truck wins by having a business. I win by having a different food option, and the customer wins by being able to, experience something a little bit different.
And I guess, Laura, as you look at and work on the staffing in the restaurant too, I guess having a food truck there is probably a little easier so that your staffing can focus on the wine and cocktails too.
Absolutely. Yeah. It makes our life a little bit easier. We can concentrate on serving cocktails, and the food is handled by the food truck. And it's just great to offer our customers some variation. These are food trucks that they probably typically wouldn't go venture out and find them at their alternative locations. And, I would say it's 50-50 of people coming for the food truck and customers that just happen to be coming to our place and see like, oh wow, you have this food truck here. What an awesome experience. And knowing that we're helping out a fellow small business just jumpstart also their path and entrepreneurship. It's a great feeling. Everybody wins. Everybody's happy. Our bellies are full.
Yeah. And actually that was a question I was going to ask, but if you think of bringing in the food trucks, it's been almost an explosion in the valley over the last 5 years of the number of food trucks. So giving them the recognition at the same time as you're getting more business in that, and I think you answered it where it's almost 50-50, but that's a great opportunity for partnership, and it does build on some of the collaboration you've talked about as being so important before. Do you purposely go out and try to get a variety of food trucks in, or are you using the same few most of the time? What works best for the bar, or the lounge? Sorry.
That's okay. Well, this year we kind of had to focus more on a Latin theme. We kind of had a Latin themed summer. So Laura created a cocktail list that featured a lot of the Latin inspired cocktails. And so we sought out food trucks that kind of aligned with that. But otherwise for our brunches, we've done, Wandering Table, food truck. They're amazing for brunch. And, we've done dessert ones. It's definitely a variety of different ones that have, been pulling up, if you will.
Okay. So that builds into a little bit more about this whole community events and activities. So let's talk about events a little bit. I know both Rick and I have attended events at the lounge. Can you talk a little bit about what type of events you're trying to have and how that helps you build in the community too?
Absolutely. We put a lot of thought into how our events are going to go throughout the year. We're planning them out in segments, like every 3 months, and kind of following the season and what aligns with what people are interested at that time. As Pamela mentioned, in the summer, our theme was going to be Latin themed. So we built a Latin cocktail menu, and we wanted Latin food trucks. And then we had a DJ on Wednesdays playing primarily Latin music, which brought in people dancing and eating food. And it just all worked together that way. In fall, for example, we had a garden party, which we had gotten the dessert truck for, and Cereal Box, which is a fairly new local food truck, dessert truck, doing ice cream with different cereal type toppings. And then we did a botanical cocktail list and had the pink party, which we made all pink charcuterie boards and had all pink cocktail menus. So we try to, leading into fall, we will be bringing in, I think, food trucks. We'll be taking a look at that have a little bit more of a heavier menu items, if that makes sense, with Mill City. Some warm comfort foods is what I imagine. We're doing the MAC Cosmetic collab with Macy's. So they'll be debuting their fall color line and doing some giveaways and little pamper stations for anybody that wants to come in. And what else do we have on the calendar for this month?
Well, we are starting our jazz series. So live music has always been something that has been near and dear to my heart from the inception of being able to offer live music. So on September 13th, throughout the remainder of the year, every Friday night, we will be having local jazz artists. So it's our jazz series from 7 to 10 on Friday nights. So the other things that we're, looking at are, again, collaborating, because that's one of our favorite things, collaborating with a restaurant to perhaps do a wine or bourbon pairing dinner. We're looking at doing some mixology classes, just different experiences that we hope are on trend and that people will like.
As well as some of these events you're talking about and really involving others in the community, I know you've continued to work with Future Nina even after you left. Could you talk a little bit about what you do for the Nina Farm to Table event?
Sure. So the Farm to Table event is held every August, and it's a great event that this year we served 185. They call it the Welcome Cocktail. So we served 185 lavender lemon drops this year. And we're just kind of like the welcome mat to the event. And it's a great time for us to come face to face with the community outside of Z. So that's always a nice place to be able to connect outside the four walls of Z.
Okay. And you also within the location, I mean, as SCORE, we've had events here in the past before. You've helped nonprofits as well, or allowed them to use your space. One of the things you've done really well, and it's great to see, is how much you do bring in nonprofits and help them at your location. How was that something that came out of your career past, or is that something you just felt, hey, maybe this is an opportunity now as you're opening up Z54?
Yeah, it definitely stemmed from working for a nonprofit for 5 years. It was one of those situations where that's the first time I actually worked for a nonprofit. I'd been a lot of committees for nonprofits, but actually working for one and understanding their budgets and their need for not only funds, but their need for exposure. So I felt like Z could offer that to nonprofits, so we could help out with funding as best as we could. So we designed a program called the Pay It Forward Cocktail. So every month, Laura creates an amazing cocktail. We select a different local nonprofit, and for that entire month, it goes right in our menu, our cocktail menu, who we're sponsoring that particular month or who we're donating. It goes on our TV displays. It goes out on our social media posts and our newsletters. So they're gaining a lot of exposure just from being the Pay It Forward cocktail. Then often what coincides with that, of course, is that they like to bring in their donors and things like that to experience Z, and so as the nonprofit, they kind of have just a nice, easy way to gather their team or their donors without having to plan anything. They just come and say, hey, let's all meet at happy hour and support our drink this month. So we find that to be really fun to get to know these nonprofits on a more personal basis through those happy hours, if you will. The other part of the Pay It Forward cocktail is the funding, and so we have agreed that for each cocktail sold during the particular month, $1 of each of those cocktails goes back to the organization. So that has been a very successful program for us. I don't really foresee us changing that in any way. It's it's worked out well for all involved.
Okay. So when we had our first interview, I'd been on the show for about 6 months and then SCORE for about a year. But at that time, most of the people that were coming to SCORE for mentoring were men. One of the huge changes in the last 5 years has been 60 to 70% of the people we see are women now. And there's women starting up businesses and running businesses. Do you see that as a woman who started up a business, and do you see the path being, I don't want to say easier because it's never easy to start a business, but do you think that it's more visible and possible for women to be successful in small business now?
I do. I think that there's always still some obstacles, but for the most part, especially this community, is very supportive. There's a lot of resources, SCORE being one of them. There are just a lot of resources and ways that you can connect to the community to grow your business, regardless if you're a male or a female. But I definitely do see a lot more women-owned businesses. We support them in we have different jewelry companies that come in that were founded by women, and they'll do events at Z. So it's really exciting to see that women are just taking that on, and we'd love to support them in any way we could.
Okay, we're at the place for our last break. You're listening to Biz Talk with SCORE and WHBY. I'll be right back. Welcome back to Biz Talk. I would like to thank the sponsors and donors who bring Biz Talk with SCORE to you each weekend. We couldn't present Biz Talk without their generous support. Thank you to Haling & Associates. Haling & Associates helps small businesses and individuals not just prepare tax returns, but plan for taxes, thereby helping you minimize taxes for this year and beyond. Haling & Associates, personal connection, positive results. A special thank you to the Business News for promoting our program in the biweekly business newspaper serving Northeast Wisconsin. If you aren't already subscribing to the Business News, you should. The paper is delivered biweekly and contains relevant and useful information about the business community in Northeast Wisconsin. We would also like to recognize the David L. and Rita E. Nelson Fund within the Community Foundation for the Fox Valley region for their generous donation in support of Biz Talk and SCORE Fox Cities. And we'll turn back to our guests, Laura and Pamela from Z54 again. And Laura, could you let our listeners know how they can find Z54?
Z54 is found at the corner of CB and American Drive in Fox Crossing. So the exact address is 1350 West American Drive. And our website is xewinebar.com.
Okay. And as we wrap up the show, as you look at having this partnership in place now for about 9 months, where do you see the business going and the partnership going over the next couple of years?
Well, I'm very hopeful for the growth of our partnership. I've learned a lot. I continue to learn a lot every day. I think that it's just very important for any small business that chooses the path of partnership that you maintain open communication and understand your partner and their desires, and that ultimately know that you guys have the same goals and desires in mind, and that you might have different means of getting to that same outcome, but really respecting each other and giving each other space while you work.
To be themselves.
But, yeah, to really kind of, own it. And I expect us to do nothing but reach success together. I believe in Pamela, I believe in myself and our vision for Z54, and our desire to just make Z54 Wine and Cocktail Lounge a staple within our community, but at the same time, continuously evolving our vision and just being aware of what's happening within the community and our customers and what's trending, and aligning our vision to what our customers want from us and what they're expecting. And we plan on executing and meeting their desires every single time.
Okay. And Pamela, has it met all your goals that you had when you opened the place?
Yes, I would say that I definitely sought out to seek somewhere for community to gather in a unpretentious, cozy, comfortable, come as you are, but yet an elevated experience. And I feel like we have been able to deliver that through the years. And again, as Laura stated, we want to continue to evolve with what our customers are looking for. We're always we always have open ears to what kind of events you'd like to experience and see, and we'll do our best to fulfill that. We also want to remain a place for the community to gather for business purposes. If you've got meetings, if you have you want to celebrate someone's retirement, that kind of thing, we want to continue to be that source for the community as well.
Okay. Thank you very much, and thank you to all our listeners. You've been listening to Biz Talk, and we really appreciate it. We'll talk to you again next week. I hope everybody has a great weekend. Thank you very much.